Greetings of peace, assalamu alaikum, and welcome to this very, very special broadcast brought to you exclusively by Salam Media, your humanitarian journalism platform, wherever you might be joining us from in the world. A very, very warm welcome to you. Please keep those comments and questions coming in, whether it's YouTube or the website or our socials, because today we are talking about the Global Sumud Flotilla and the South African voice. So welcome to a special hour of solidarity, hope, and unwavering courage. Today we're discussing not just an event, we are bearing witness to a profound act of global conscious and global resistance. We're talking about the Global Sumud Flotilla, of course, a fleet of vessels sailing across the oceans, not with weapons of war, but with the most powerful cargo of all, humanitarian aid and the unbreakable human spirit of solidarity. The word Sumud, of course, means steadfastness. It is the quality that has defined the Palestinian people's resilience for decades in the face of unimaginable adversity. The flotillas embodies that very principle, but on an international scale. It is a peaceful, civilian-led mission to break the illegal siege of Gaza, to deliver life-saving aid, and to challenge a narrative of isolation with one of profound human connection. And who better to speak to this moment than voices from a nation that itself transitioned from the brutal isolation of apartheid to a beacon of hope and justice. We are incredibly honored to be joined by three distinguished South African delegates who are part of this historic mission. Their presence on this flotilla is a powerful symbol, linking the struggle against apartheid in South Africa to the call for a liberated Palestine. So a very warm welcome to our three guests who will be joining us together on screen now. You'll see them all together. They found a place through which to join us. Look at these beautiful human beings, and they are Dr. Fatima Hendricks, Fazel Behra, and Dr. Zaheera Soomar. Dr. Fatima Hendricks is a mother of two and cancer survivor. She advocates for justice through nonviolent action and global solidarity. Her work highlights the devastating impact of oppression on health, education, and family life, while inspiring awareness of the Palestinians' right to live freely and peacefully. Fazel is a devoted father of four and grandfather-to-be. His family was relocated to Actonville during apartheid. He's endured the loss of both parents, but continues to honor their resilience. He's also a passionate entrepreneur and humanitarian, working in relief work for Syrian refugees, and now, of course, on the Global Sumud Flotilla. Dr. Zaheera Soomar is a social impact and humanitarian leader born in apartheid South Africa. She's an international social impact and humanitarian leader with over 20 years of experience across Africa, Middle East, North America, Latin America, and Asia, specializing in education, social development, and refugee empowerment, and holds a doctorate on the future of work and an MBA in strategy and leadership, traveling to more than 75 countries. How exciting! Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to this very special broadcast on the Global Sumud Flotilla.
Walaikum salam. Good to be with you.
Alhamdulillah. It's lovely. It's wonderful to have you with us. And I'm sure you've been hearing all of the wonderful support that's coming through for you from South Africa, from the African continent, and indeed from around the world. I was just on an X space just before this talking about African leadership and highlighted the fact that the Sumud Flotilla is also happening right now. So let's begin with the core of this mission. The situation in Gaza is catastrophic, with hunger levels reaching IPC 5. We're hearing about deaths happening every day. And this along the continuum of continued trauma from not just the last 2 years, but for 75 years plus. Many aid organizations are trying to get in. They have tried. They faced all sorts of challenges, to say the least. What do you feel makes this flotilla different? Why is this direct civilian to civilian approach so critical right now?
I think that I think that we are, the roots that the humanitarian aids and charities have been focusing on is, within process, it's within political means, it's relationship driven, it's agreement driven, and it's not working. right? The humanitarian corridor is being blocked by Israel. Trucks are not getting in. We can see the video footage. We can see the trucks, the amount of trucks that are being both on the Jordanian and the Egyptian side that stand and wait and are not getting through the borders, are not making its way into Gaza. So it's not a lack of aid that's there, and it's not a lack of funding that's there, but it's that our humanitarian trucks and our humanitarian aid is not making its way into Gaza. And there's a lot of propaganda about this as well, in terms of how Israel states this and what they say. And so they say there's a lot of trucks that are being let through the border, but the trucks are being let through the border, but it doesn't pass the process check on their side, and therefore it doesn't actually make its way into Gaza. We are tired as civilians. We are tired of seeing this taking place. We are tired of watching people die on our screens. We are tired of watching a man-made famine and a starvation. And our governments are not doing enough to put pressure on Israel to lift the siege on humanitarian aid and to force a corridor to open. And therefore, us civilians are taking it in our own hands to try and break that illegal siege. It's unfortunate that it has to come to this terms. And it's, when you ask the question of what's different, it's civilians taking it into their own hands because we can't rely on our governments. That's the difference.
Powerful, powerful words there. Thank you so much, Dr. Zaheera. Let's move on to Fatima and Fazel. Any comments on that question? And then I've got some one-on-one questions for you. What makes this flotilla different? Why is it so critical right now?
I just want to build off of what Zaheera has said. This is really part of a global grassroots movement, a coalition that has been building for decades for the Palestinian cause. And I think what we're seeing is a coalescing of causes across the world where different movements are anti-colonial, anti-Zionist, and anti-capitalism or anti-exploitation rather, are coalescing and saying we actually have to move as a collective to make voice on this and act in a way that really speaks truth to power, not just with words, but in action. And so what we've seen is a flotilla movement that began back in 2006. And this is, I think, the 37th or 38th, right? 38th flotilla. And so it is not just a once-off movement. It has been building for the past 2 decades. And what we're seeing now has come to fruition, where people from 47 countries, ordinary people across, humanitarians, activists, artists, educators, right across the entire mechanics, technical people, across the entire spectrum of civil society, across navigating across political differences, belief differences, but are all united with the single truth that this genocide must end. And this genocide is a mass disabling event. And so not just ending the genocide, but ending this mass torture of people and disablement.
Absolutely. Thank you very much there, Dr. Fatima Hendricks. Let's bring Fazel in to ask you, Fazel, as I'm listening to you, I'm cognizant of the fact that what we are setting up now is a precedent that we as civilians, as the people of the world, can stand up for each other in direct ways, independently, whether that is Palestine, it is Sudan, it is the Congo. We are learning that we can do this, and this makes us incredibly powerful in the future. What are your thoughts, Fazel?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm sitting among 2 giants here, so just bear with me. Listen, if the world is still asking what genocide, then I don't know which planet you're living on. And if you don't understand what is happening in Gaza, then truly, the world is starting to wake up. And I think it is the ordinary civilians that are taking this upon themselves, like they summed it up very nicely. And we can only try. Obviously, the results in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're putting ourselves forward, and inshallah, we will break that siege, and inshallah, we will make the world more awake. And hopefully, the governments of the countries can start seeing what needs to be done as well.
Excellent. Shukran, Fazel. Let me just redirect that question to either one of you, Zaheera or Fatima. We're creating a precedent to show that we, the people, can stand up for each other directly, everywhere, from Palestine to Africa and anywhere else. Your thoughts?
I don't think we necessarily creating a precedence with this movement, or specifically the 38th Flotilla. I think that this is, like Fatima said, this is the 38th Flotilla. I think this movement has been going for a really long time, right? Since 2006, so 19 years, the flotillas is specifically. This whole movement is part of, is a joining of multiple movements. We have the Global March to Gaza that took place. We also had the Sumud convoy. All of these movements are coming together, and all of these movements were standing for something and were fighting for the people of Gaza, the Palestinians in Gaza. I think that the precedence that's being set here is the size and the vastness of what is taking place, right? In the history of this movement and in the flotilla specifically, the number of boats and the number of people that are going to risk their lives and that are taking a stand and going to Gaza on a boat, that's what's setting precedence here. And I think that it's going to be interesting to see what happens as a result of this, and the message that we're sending with this. Because, I mean, look, last year we tried to send a flotilla, and it got stopped, right? This year, 2 flotillas went, and we know that they were intercepted, and the aid didn't make its way to Gaza. They were successful in raising awareness and pushing forward. And the momentum that we're trying to show you and the message that we're trying to send to Israel is that you can keep stopping us, and we are going to keep coming back, and we are going to keep coming back in bigger numbers. And that's the precedence that's being set right now.
Absolutely. And that is the message to Zio-imperialism. We, the people, will continue to stand with each other. Let's come back to Fatima. South Africa's historic stance at the ICJ was a landmark moment. And from your perspective as an anti-apartheid activist, what parallels do you see between the struggles you fought then and the Palestinian struggle as it is now? And how does that inform your decision to be a part of the Global Sumud Flotilla?
That's a very powerful question, because it really talks to the very close relationship between Palestine and South Africa and our commitment to ensuring that we are mobilizing with our sisters and brothers against apartheid Israel in ways that are really unambiguous. However, we have some issues with our solidarity with Palestine as South Africans. And we need to be very clear on what these compromises are. We still are trading coal with apartheid Israel. We are trading diamonds. We have IOF members that have served in the genocide that are in South Africa. That action needs to be taken against them for crimes against war crimes in this genocide. So there are serious moments of introspection, and we have to be cautious with romanticizing this relationship between Palestine and South Africa. The state at which Palestine is right now with the current genocide is unprecedented in modern history. There are no parallels. It is a war that is driven by technology. It is not a war, it is an annihilation that is driven by technology. It is driven by big capital and money, extraction of resources, the plundering of natural resources with clear plans to annex land for that purpose. And in addition to that, this, I re-emphasize, is a mass disabling crime of humanity. It has the highest level of amputees in modern history. 1,400 health professionals have been killed. And in addition to that, we have a hospital system annihilated and health care professionals and personnel in detention, right? So I think that, we really need, it's a moment of introspection about our own Sumud as South Africans and how we need to step up in our action in loving solidarity and committed solidarity with Palestine.
Absolutely. A very thought-provoking response there. And it's particularly valuable when you remember that in 2010, the apartheid settler colonial project called Israel stole missile technology from South Africa. And that technology has not been recovered, nor was anyone held accountable. So, when we talk in various spaces, we ask ourselves, which of our countries is not occupied by this ideology? Let's come to Fazel. Fazel, can you tell us about the specific aid that's being carried and beyond the physical supplies? What is the message of hope that you want to deliver to the people of Gaza when you arrive?
I don't know if you've watched this Instagram post a few days ago. The guy was on the beach of Gaza and he wrote, "Welcome to the people, to the Sumud Flotilla." Now that is hope that they have on their side. And what more hope can we give them than to try and break that siege and try and reach them with that they're in dire need, right? And obviously what we are carrying is humanitarian aid with us. So, to be labeled a terrorist for carrying aid, humanitarian aid, I think that comes across very harsh. And obviously we know that what's going to happen is we will be labeled and we will be told that we are coming into illegal territory, etc., etc. But the people, if you were here just to see what is happening, I cannot express it. But the enthusiasm of every participant, 300 people filling up a hall and listening to what's in store for them. So I think everybody's ready. And inshallah, we're going to break the siege and we're going to be able to deliver so much necessary aid that is required for those people that are starving, in dire need of medical aid, etc., etc. So we request the du'as of the Ummah of South Africa.
Absolutely. And of course, all of our allies, the Interfaith movement, everyone really in South Africa and around the world that is standing in solidarity with the Palestinian people, because they are a prism to the future we are building for all of us. So, Zaheera, let's come back to you. There are undeniable risks. Previous flotillas, we know, have been met with both interception and violence. We've covered that here on Salam Media. What are the protocols for non-violent resistance on board? How is the crew preparing for various scenarios?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. And it's an interesting question, firstly. I mean, I'll take it in two parts. This is a non-violent mission. It's also non-political. We are not here to get into politics. We are not here to attack, hurt, argue, fight, or of any sort, debate, nothing. We are simply a mass amount of civilians that have brought humanitarian aid on a boat to drop it onto Gaza and leave. We are not even planning to go into Gaza. We are simply wanting to just drop the aid to them, give it to the people of Gaza, and let them help themselves. That's the intention here. We are not planning to carry any weapons. We are not carrying anything of any sort that is considered violent in any nature. We are unarmed civilians that are not even planning to argue, debate, fight back in any way or form. This is a pure, non-violent humanitarian mission. And South Africans understand what that non-violent humanitarian missions look like, because we've had moments like this in our country as well. And we've seen examples of from other countries. When you talk about, so the first part of your question, which I'm going to come to now, which is around the risk. Given that it's a non-violent humanitarian mission, given we come in peace, and given the fact that we're not even planning to touch the soil of Gaza, that we plan to just give the aid to the Palestinians in Gaza and leave, one begs to ask the question, why should it even be a risk, right? We are here to establish a humanitarian corridor. We are not going into apartheid Israel. We are going to the shores of Gaza. We are not going in a violent mission. There should be no risk attached to this, especially when the ICJ has instructed for a humanitarian corridor last year. So it's strange to think that we are at risk, that we're facing risk for this mission. But The reason it's been categorized as being risky is because of historics, right? Because of what's happened to the past flotillas that have set sail and gone to Gaza. Now, we know the first 5 flotillas were successful, and ever since then, no other flotilla, 32 flotillas, have not made it to the shores of Gaza in their mission of delivering humanitarian aid. Many of them have been intercepted, and their delegates have been taken and imprisoned, and then deported, days later. Some of the boats have been attacked prior to them even leaving shore. Some of them have been sieged based on political measures. These are all risks that we face. These are all things that we're factoring into considerations, because you really can't put anything past apartheid Israel at this stage. They've shown us what they're capable of. They've shown us their evil nature. So we understand, based on historical facts, what the risks are that we might potentially undergo. And based on Ben Havi's recent statements and his threats to us, that we might even undergo worse than what's taken place in the previous flotillas. Having said that, all hundreds of us on these 50+ boats are still willing to get on the boat, because it's, when you think about what we might face as the potential risk and the harm that might come to us, it is not even a minuscule of what the people of Gaza face every single day, every single minute of their lives. And therefore, we are willing to take that risk, whatever comes our way. And may Allah be with us, because really, for how much more longer can we sit and actually allow this to happen? Really, how can we live our lives when this is happening? It's, subhanAllah, I find it difficult to continue on a daily basis as a privileged human being when this is happening. It's really hard.
It really is. Every time you eat, you're thinking about the starving people
Exactly.
in Palestine and in other parts of the world. And so the people of South Africa have been overwhelmingly vocal in their support for Palestine. What has the response been like from your communities back home? And what do you think this mission means for the people of South Africa? If anyone wants to respond to that question.
So khair, inshallah. I think one of the unique things is about being part of a global ummah. That's one layer where it's South Africa is positioned within this ummah of action and showing action and really acting upon the universal values of justice, of the preservation of life, the preservation of lineage, the respect for the dignity of human life. And I think as South Africans, we resonate with that larger message. On another level, there are across nations a underpinning of universal values that have largely been betrayed. And so as South Africans, we can recognize the betrayal from our experiences in this apartheid struggle, where we were depending on other nations to be vocal against the anti-apartheid struggle. Yet what we found was selling out. What we found was back-end doublespeak. What we found was really resource-driven interests that did not align with the anti-apartheid struggle in South Africa, but that were really looking after colonial interests. And so there are layers of, happiness and joy and accomplishment and victory in this, but there is great sadness when we look at the broader ummah of how they have betrayed the Palestinian cause and continue to do so. And I think we need to be very clear about that. And if we look at the countries that are participating, it's really notable to say that a third of the world is not represented by, for example, India and China. And some regions who are participating are putting themselves at real risk, much more than South Africans are doing, right? We are in a very comfortable space, but others are putting themselves at massive risk with having passports being taken away, citizenship being revoked, not losing work. And I mean, I know Zaheera can speak more to that, but I really do want us to think about what we're doing with the privilege that we have, our positionalities that we have, and how we actually advocating and standing in solidarity with Palestine, or resisting, or just selling out, plain old selling out with the money in our pockets that we're using and just buying any products, and the other means of subtle betrayal and overt betrayal.
I just want to add to that, Shabnam, because
Please.
I think it's important, as South African delegates that are here, we get, I don't want to use the word praised, but let's say praised for lack of a better word, because we fought apartheid. We had Palestine stand in solidarity with us. And so we've stood in solidarity with Palestine, and we will always stand in solidarity with Palestine. And I think people see South Africans differently. So they give you, I don't know, not praise, but they kind of see you as role models, okay?
Yes.
And they look up to South Africa in what's happening in Gaza at the moment now, especially because South Africa went to the ICJ, etc. But and look, to your initial question is about the support that we're getting from our people in our country. The support has been tremendous, right? We're getting lots of love. We're getting a lot of support. We're getting a lot of good words from the country, even from family members and friends, and even abroad, right? I've got a dual nationality. I'm Canadian as well, and I get the same love and the same support from my friends, my family, the community in Canada. But I'm going to be completely honest. I'm disgraced and disgusted to a certain level as well, because the same people that give me love and support and tell me, you're so admirable, you are a hero, which I hate the term, or a savior, which I hate the term, and I don't want us to be considered as heroes and saviors. Those very same people have the same ability that we have. Okay, there's absolutely nothing special about the three of us and the rest of the other members of the delegation and the hundreds that are here. We are wives, mothers, husbands, fathers. We work, we have occupations. We're also taking a risk. But a lot of these people aren't even doing the bare minimum of what they could do, right? In terms of boycotting, in terms of protesting, in terms of putting pressure on the government. This mission isn't a mission for the couple of hundred people that are jumping on a boat and going to Gaza. For us to be successful in breaking an illegal siege in Gaza, it takes the world. It takes all of humanity. And there are things that we can do on the boat, and there are things that everybody else can do at home. And I want to implore, I want to ask South Africans, those that support us and send love to us, to please do your part. There's so much that can be done back home in South Africa and in every single other country. We have to all do our part. Like, boycott, take a stand, speak up, because until we all actually do that, we're not going to break this structure of colonialism. And until colonialism and imperialism and capitalism actually breaks, these things are going to continue. They're going to continue.
Absolutely. Such powerful points being raised today in this conversation around the Global Sumud Flotilla on its way to break the siege on Gaza. And you are live with Salam Media, Humanitarian Journalism, and 3 of the South African delegates who are part of this very important mission, and some powerful reminders of how important it is for us each to take action. We talk very much about Nelson Mandela's famous quote, "We know too well that our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians." It is a guiding light, but what does it mean, and how have we been led to forget? We're also reminded of the words of Archbishop Desmond Tutu: if you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. And there are certainly actions we can take, including consumer boycott. I ask myself how people are still using products like Microsoft, for example, which is complicit by the use of its technology in the genocide on Palestine, but also in mass atrocities in other parts of the world. So start somewhere, make conscious choices. Let's come back to Fazel. And Fazel, I know you're sitting between 2 very powerful women there, but certainly your contribution is so valuable as well. So let me ask you, there's often talks of complexities in delivering aid. And that is undeniable, especially in a situation like this one of genocide, of an ongoing siege, of occupation and apartheid. From a purely humanitarian standpoint, what is the simple, undeniable truth that this flotilla is acting upon?
There's a hadith, something to this effect, that the ummah is like one body. If one part of your body is aching, the rest of your body feels that pain. Our hearts are aching, knowing that our brothers and sisters in Gaza are suffering. And this oppression has been going on not for now, but forever. And it's worsening day by day, and blatantly so. So we have hope. We have hope that we're going to be able to deliver this much needed aid to the people of Gaza. We have hope when we set sail soon, inshallah, that we will be able to reach the shores of Gaza. A lot of people ask me, why are you going? Why couldn't you just send money? You know you're putting your life at risk. And how can I say no to an effort that so many non-Muslims are putting effort into? And here as an ummati, and I cannot stand up for justice and say, let me try and make a difference and make that stand and make that call. Inshallah, Allah Ta'ala will make the way open for us, inshallah.
Ameen, Ameen. And of course, there is the verse in the Quran that Allah asks us, what is wrong with you? Why do you not help each other? And Palestine is that example of humanity standing up for itself. We're going to take a very short ad break. Please don't go anywhere. Please stay with us for the next part of this conversation. We have about 15 minutes to go with the South African delegation on the Global Sumud Flotilla.
As temperatures drop and winter grips the country, the less fortunate in South Africa are preparing for the harsh realities that this season brings. Africa Muslims Agency is distributing blankets, clothing, and other essentials to thousands across the country. Sponsor a winter pack for 320 Rand or a blanket for 160 Rand and spread warmth this winter. Africa Muslims Agency, empowering, educating, inspiring.
Valley's Motor Spares. We supply motor spares and accessories for all makes and models of motor cars, LDVs, bakkies, trucks, and earth-moving equipment. We deliver on time, every time. Please contact us via WhatsApp on 014-592-0925 or call 014-592-0925 or visit 28 Zenderling Street, Rustenburg. Remember the name. Valley's Motor Spares.
Kids these days are smart, and when you're competing for their attention against their smartphones, you need to make smart choices, like using Sunfoil triple refined pure sunflower oil in every meal you make. It's naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether you're cooking, frying, or baking, you get the great tasting results that'll get their attention faster than the latest app. And if that doesn't work, change the Wi-Fi password. Sunfoil. Now we're cooking.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities, conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities. Your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041-583-6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
Yasin Badat Financial Advisory. Are your financial goals feeling out of reach? Yasin Badat Financial Advisory is here to turn your aspirations into achievements. Our dedicated team, armed with a history of success, is ready to guide you through the complex nature of financial and investment planning. Whether you're a seasoned investor or new to the game, our personalized solutions cater to your unique goals and risk appetite. Trust in our commitment to transparency, integrity, and excellence. Ready to unlock a world of financial freedom? Partner with us today. Call Yasin Badat Financial Advisory at +27 33 346 2071 or visit www.yasinbadat.com. Yasin Badat Financial Advisory, guiding you to financial success.
Make a conscious choice. Sip for change and support Palestine Drinks Africa. With every can, you help end the genocide and stand in solidarity with Palestine. Choose between our original or sugar-free options available in the case of 24. Every sip is a step towards justice. Every purchase a powerful message of unity and support for the Palestinian cause. Contact 082-888-1440 or 082-7739-556 today and be part of the change. Palestine Drinks Africa. Sip for change. Liberty for everyone.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media.
Welcome back to Salam Media, the home of humanitarian journalism, with your host, Shabnam Palesa Mohamed, in a very special broadcast with 3 South African delegates on board the Global Sumud Flotilla. Welcome back. Please keep those comments and questions coming in. Zaheera, let's come to you now. The ICJ ruling called for effective and humanitarian aid to Gaza. Does this flotilla see itself as directly enforcing those rulings and those advisories and those opinions since other channels have failed? How closely aligned is the flotilla with the legal findings, or do you feel it's purely humanitarian based?
I mean, look, it's within what ICJ has instructed, right? ICJ instructed that Israel needs to establish a humanitarian corridor and needs to ensure sufficient humanitarian aid is allowed into Gaza while this genocide, what they call a war, is taking place. Now, it is not our job to enforce it. We're not here to enforce it. We are also not a legal body. This is not a legal mission. So we are not here to enforce any law. We are not here to make sure that Israel abides by those terms. We are not here to make sure that we check the tick boxes of what the ICJ have said. This has nothing to do with us. We are not a legal mission. We are not legal fact-finding. We are not enforcing any legal law. We are a humanitarian mission, purely and simply delivering basic humanitarian aid, basic necessity humanitarian aid, like diapers, like formula for babies, right? Basic aid to a nation that is under famine and starvation, right? And the process by which we are undertaking is within the guidelines, the frameworks, and the law that ICJ has themselves indicated that Israel needs to abide by. So we take it as, the way we read it as, ICJ has instructed Israel to establish a humanitarian corridor. Therefore, Israel should, and therefore we should be allowed to deliver aid, which is why I say this shouldn't be a risky mission, because we are within the legal framework. There's absolutely nothing illegal according to international law about what we are doing.
Absolutely. So it isn't just about delivering aid. It's about challenging the illegal blockade itself, but doing so in a peaceful way. And various international institutions have repeatedly stated that the blockade constitutes collective punishment. It's a violation of international law. Fatima, you're also with Healthcare Workers for Palestine. Can you speak to the symbolic importance of civilians, including healthcare workers, asserting the right to free passage for humanitarian purposes?
Absolutely. So just building off of what Zaheera was speaking about, was if we look at why the siege is legal, right? We are exercising our passage of rights. We are exercising the Article 4 of the 4th Geneva Convention as volunteers for safety on this particular mission. We are in international waters, okay? The ICJ gave instruction for the occupying power to deliver aid, and it has failed to do so. So the global community of civilians have mobilized to challenge this and to try to open up a sustainable humanitarian sea corridor of aid to Gaza. And the word here is about sustainability, because we really are talking about challenging this blockade and the siege in a way that is really sustainable. and allows for aid to come in and allows for a humanitarian response to the gross crimes against humanity. Now, for this particular genocide, what is absolutely telling is that government's complicity is astounding. So they're actually, if you look at governments by and large, very, very comfortable for this global Sumud to go ahead. And what do I mean by that? They're very happy to send their civilians off, right? Instead of saying, no, don't go. Don't send your mamas and your papas, like me and Zaheera and others. Don't send your grandfathers. Don't send your young people. Don't do that. We as governments, we'll take it on and we will challenge this. But there have been layers and layers of failure upon failure, from bureaucracy to appetite to this absolute complicity by corporates and enablement, right? And so I think it's really part of a bigger story about why this movement is so strongly anti-settler colonialism, anti-Zionist in its composition, because the oppression, the struggles of the oppressed people around the world are so closely embedded and interlocked with each other that we really are having to mobilize, because all of these struggles are connected in these global ways, and challenge it at this particular global level.
Undoubtedly. And I want to come back to the Protect Palestine Uniting for Peace resolution shortly. But let's bring Fazel back in. Fazel, beyond the immediate...
Fazel just stepped out, Shabnam.
Oh, okay. All right. So beyond this immediate mission, there's obviously a long-term impact that we're hoping this act of solidarity will have on global consciousness and on the political landscape. And we're seeing this Uniting for Peace campaign calling for a resolution on Palestine at the UNGA, where the demands for all diplomats and politicians are the following: 1, urgently protect the Global Sumud Flotilla; 2, reject the Saudi-French stabilization proposal; and 3, to establish and deploy an armed protection force for Palestine. What are your thoughts on this Uniting for Peace resolution, and how can people support it?
Okay, so one of the historical facts that we have on the ground is that there have been resolutions after resolutions after resolutions. Very, very few resolutions have actually been effectual. Okay, and so while we always have hope, and our default is hope, we have a history of failure in United Nations resolutions. So what we're asking people to do at this moment in time is to put hope in multiple pockets, multiple streams of action, multiple streams of mobilization, because we cannot wait. This act against this genocide is long overdue, and so we have to make sure that we use every direct nonviolent means at our disposal to get outcomes that actually tangibly benefit the Palestinian cause, that save lives, that stop this mass enablement of civilians, and that actually is able to bring to justice the perpetrators of the crimes that are being committed and have been committed. The bottom line is that the killing must stop, and it needs to stop now.
Thank you, Fatima. In the last few minutes, we'll be talking about calls to action that you're going to share. How can people support the Sumud Flotilla, as well as the people of Palestine, and of course, by extension, the oppressed around the world? But before that, I do have 2 more questions. And Zaheera, so this is around, again, the resolution, this campaign for this Protect Palestine resolution, and the call for military mobilization, right? Obviously at a state level. Given that the UNGA is moving from the US to Geneva in quite a significant move, it would seem. Is it possible in your assessment that that states that are supporting Palestine could in fact support this resolution for military intervention on behalf of Palestine? Do you think there's hope in that regard?
I mean, from a pure support perspective, I think it's possible. I think that people see the truth, and I think there are many countries, civilians, some leaders that see the truth of what is actually taking place. They see the true evilness of the apartheid Israel, and they see where the military is taking place, and they see where arms are coming from and where arms are being supported from and funded from. So I think there could be support for it. Whether that resolution actually comes into play and whether it actually takes place and whether it takes effect is a different story, right? Like Fatima said, getting a resolution in place is not the challenge. Putting it in effect is what the challenge is. Now, a resolution can be called for in the same way that I don't know how many ceasefires have been called for at United Nations in the past 2 years. Right, there have been massive amount of, and when you look at the votes that have taken place at United Nations in calling for a ceasefire, the number of countries that have been in support from it, from the first vote to the last one, have drastically increased. Right, in fact, I think the last vote that I saw on a ceasefire, there might have been 3 to 5 countries that actually said no. The US, apartheid state of Israel, and maybe 3 other countries that are massive allies towards Israel or the US in terms of funding and weapons. But what happened? No ceasefire was called. No ceasefire took effect. No ceasefire lasted. Even when Israel actually agreed to a ceasefire, it was never ever honored. Right? Within 24 hours, that ceasefire was broken. So your question is, will there be support? I think there'll be support. Will a resolution happen? Maybe. Will it actually take effect? I'm skeptical because right now I don't have a lot of confidence in our governments and our nations. If I did, then a humanitarian corridor would have been established by now.
Well, I personally think it's a good space and position for us to be in as the people of the world, where we know that we can depend on each other, and so we should. We're going to have a look at a couple of comments here. The power of the people is greater than people in power. I always remind us. Marcia Palesa says, blessings to all. Let's have a look at a few more comments coming up the YouTube. It really does depend on us. Thank you, Maria. We absolutely agree. Let's look at more comments. But it is now the videos are transmitting the genocide. Any other comments? And then we're going to go to call to action in the last couple of minutes. She also says, thank you very much, brave souls. And anything else? Spoonful of Dreams. Yemen is the only government truly supporting Palestine. I think it's hard to argue against that. Sadaron says, love and support from France. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us and for the support. Megan, outstanding interview. Megan Shoritz, our dear friend from Cape Town, South African Jews for Justice for Palestine. Thank you. I will continue to spread the word until Palestine is free from the river to the sea. Thank you, Megan. Any other comments? Sadiq coming through from the YouTube. I have no idea what that comment means. I'm not going to read it. Is there any other comments? I think that might be it for the comments for now. Right, Sue Ray. We need strategy on social media. A small amount of Zayo makes maximum impact with good strategy. We are many, yet we lack impact. We certainly need to work on narrative and education and information and empowerment, etc. And Nurazia Rahi, Allah keep you safe, inshallah. I think we'll leave it there for the comments now. We'll come back to it. If there are any others, Sadiq, please let me know in the chat. Last few minutes, let's talk about action and what people can actually do. And it's one of our favorite topics. And the eternal question is, but what is to be done? So our time is drawing to a close, and this has been an incredibly powerful and inspiring conversation. We can't thank you enough for your courage and your clarity, and of course, your commitment, carrying the hopes of millions of people in our country and around the world. And we wish the Sumud Flotilla safe passage, calm seas, and the strength of the conviction of your journey. But of course, we want to, before let you go, we want to hear what is the call to action. How can people support the Global Sumud Flotilla? Your top 1 or 2 ideas. Go ahead.
For me, I think you can support us by doing your part, right? Do not rely on us to carry the entire mission on our own. Everybody needs to play their part, and every part of this mission is important. So there's a lot that needs to be done on the ground, putting pressure on governments. If something happens to us, we are going to be asking our fellow communities to please put pressure on our governments to not only fight for our release, but really contest against how we were treated and why we were even taken against a peaceful mission and something that shouldn't be risky. Number one. Number two, the second thing I would ask is that I know that this is very exciting for the world, at least the pro-Palestinian world, right? And so there's a lot of love and support that we're getting at the moment, and there's a lot of eyes on us. There's a lot of coverage, but Gaza is the focus. All eyes on Gaza, right? Do not get distracted by, and do not let your social media be filled up by the flotilla. While we do need eyes on us for our safety and our health and our return, our safe return, we honestly need all eyes on Gaza, because apartheid Israel waits for a distraction before they can take even further action on Gaza. And so please don't get distracted, right? Priority here is Gaza. Keep your eyes on Gaza. Give them the support, and then secondary, you give it to us.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. Fatima, your calls to action.
The call to action is really about organizing and mobilizing in the spaces where we are locally. Each one of us has a circle of influence, and we really need to exercise that circle of influence, responsibility, and action that really speaks to the microaggressions, the minute and smaller aggressions that we face in our local communities around the issues of Palestine. They could be silence complicity, they could be choices in how we're spending our money, it could be attitudes with colleagues, it could be around participation in street protests, a local community organizing, making of voice. And the making of voice is incredibly important around not just social media, but deep conversations with others on how we can all together enact what is within our locus of influence. And so it is really about asking the question, what can I do? What talents do I have that I can bring to the movement? What resources do I have that I can bring to the movement? We have witnessed and look at the Palestinians with Sumud, right? They're Sumud. But the question is, what Sumud do we have for the Palestinian cause? What steadfastness do we have for the Palestinian cause? And it is about mobilizing in the small spaces, because little puddles, little circles actually make for big waves. And so we need multiple little circles to join together so that we can actually see a sea of change. So thank you so much.
Courage is contagious. Let's give the last word to Fazel. Fazel, what is your message to the people of Palestine from your heart?
Firstly, unity is strength. That's what we need, the unity from everybody that's following us and hoping that we break the siege, inshallah. For the people of Gaza, we are trying. It's a broken effort on our side. We ask for forgiveness if we cannot do what we're supposed to do. And we need the du'as of everybody, inshallah. Shukran jazilan. Assalamu alaikum wa
Shukran, Fazel. Before I let you go and conclude, would it be possible for you to just take us on a mini tour with your phone so we can see what it looks like, all of the delegates and the gatherings?
Sure, let me take you. So we are in one of the ports in Tunis. For safety reasons, I'm not going to tell you which port, but we did have some boats come in from Barcelona, and we've got a lot of people gathered here today. I'll show you the gathering.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. I'm sure Comrade Mandla Mandela is there somewhere in amongst the delegations.
So we've got lots of people from all nationalities, children flying flags. Lots of people everywhere. Lots of children everywhere.
Wonderful. Zaheera, do you think it's possible for us to speak to Chief Manda if you can see him, if he's available?
I don't know if he's here at the moment. I would need to look for him.
Okay, all right. Well, let's give you a minute to look for him. Would that be okay? And meanwhile, we can share some photographs of your journeys, the images and clips. Great, wonderful. Let's give Zaheera a moment for that. And Sadiq, if you can, some beautiful pictures, very powerful imagery. Let's share that with our audiences. Quite a collection of photographs on our WhatsApp chat for this special broadcast.
I can't seem to find him.
All right, Zaheera, who else can you recommend that we can have a chat with?
People, yeah.
It's
Look at really difficult, to find him. And it's usually you go where the crowd is, and that's where you try and find him. But there are so many delegates that have just come off the boats from Barcelona. So everybody's huddling in so many different groups. It's hard to see where everybody is.
Right. Is there anyone else you'd like us to have a quick chat with? Anyone you can recommend?
No one that I can see off the cuff. Yeah. I mean, everybody's just really busy, hustling, trying to have conversations, trying to just have moments of solidarity, etc.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. It feels so good to actually be on this walk with you. It, almost feels like we're there with you. We certainly are, hearts and minds in solidarity. So thank you very much for taking us on that tour. And I don't think we're going to keep you much longer, even though I'd like to, but I know the organizing is very, very busy. So thank you very much. Shukran, Jazakallah khair to you, Dr. Zaheera Soomar, Dr. Fatima Hendricks, and Fazel Behra for joining us in this very, very special broadcast on the Global Sumud Flotilla. May the mission be successful from the river to the sea to Palestine.
Ameen, ameen. Jazakallah khair.
Excellent. So that's been a very special broadcast connecting directly with the South African delegates on the Global Sumud Flotilla. Please feel free to share this video across all your platforms and networks so people know when humanity stands together that mountains can move. Continue to follow and amplify the official Global Sumud Flotilla on social media. Share the journey, share updates, use your voice, pressure your representatives. This is not just a Middle Eastern issue. It is a human rights issue. So write to your elected officials, MPs, ambassadors, demand that they actively support the ICJ ruling and advocate for safe passage for civilian aid missions, and that they take a firm stance against the blockade of Gaza and the genocide of Palestine. Support organizations on the ground who are delivering humanitarian aid, and continue to stay informed and speak out. Don't look away. Read beyond the headlines, understand the history, have courageous conversations, and break the silence in our own communities. I certainly feel the tide is turning as the Sumud Flotilla makes its way towards Gaza. The Sumud Flotilla is a testament to the fact that when governments fail to act, the people will. They are showing us what international solidarity looks like in action. Thank you for listening. This is Shabnam, Palesa, Mohamed signing off with a message of hope and a call for steadfastness for Sumud until justice and freedom prevail. Thank you for joining us on Salam Media. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.